Hi guys, my name is Brittany Harlacker. I am a fourth grade math and science teacher at the Red Line Area School District. A little bit about me. When I'm not teaching, I'm coaching junior high basketball, track, and field. I enjoy reading, especially Nicholas Sparks novels. I'm really into CrossFit and working out. I spend time hanging out with my friends and family and my boyfriend. I have two beautiful dogs, Ozzy and Duke. They're in the picture on the right. I really love going to a good trivia night with my friends, even though we never tend to win. I have a secret love for all of the Marvel movies, so I'm a little bit of a comic book nerd, and I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan. So I was a little upset about their loss on Sunday, but we'll see what happens at the Super Bowl this year. My online experience, recently I just took a South Central PAECT course on how to create a blended learning environment in your classroom. And that's really important because my colleague and I that teach fourth grade math and science together, we were asked to implement this into our own classrooms. So we're actually right now in the process of how to effectively create an online learning experience within our own classrooms. We've had some ups and downs through it all, but we're learning a lot from it. I only have one class set of computers, which I have to share with my language arts teacher. I have taken one undergrad online class through Shippensburg University, and I was a speaker at our district Google Summit and was asked to teach upcoming teachers about resources that Google offers to help their online experience be more beneficial to them. Question one, good teaching is good teaching. I completely agree with this. Whether it's an online environment or in a face-to-face classroom environment, being a good teacher is all what you put into your teaching. So what made sense to me about that? I think the ability to build connections. I believe that you're able to build connections meeting face-to-face with kids in your class, getting to know them, but you can do that same thing through an online environment, through video and Skype. But once again, it's on what the teacher wants to get to know about their kids. Being able to accommodate all students' needs. We're asked all the time to differentiate in our classrooms. While online, the cyber teachers said that they're able to do this, and they're able to do it a lot quicker than we might be able to. So I think that's great, and that's great teaching because that way you're reaching out to all kids and you're giving them what they need to be successful in the classroom. Creating student independency. I truly feel like in an online environment, you're able to do this because the kids are working with themselves and they're depending on themselves to complete their work and work through everything that they need to complete. In my classroom, since we specialize in fourth grade and they don't in third grade, they have this sense of dependency on the teacher. I try to break that mold in fourth grade, especially with this new online blended learning of they need to learn how to help themselves be successful. And I think online good teachers are able to do that, regardless if it's online or in a classroom. And the other interesting fact that I pulled from the video was the initial feedback that they're able to give to kids and the initial feedback that the teachers see from the kids that when they are successful. I think you're able to see this in the classroom or online, and it's how you're teaching things and the engagement of your students. What didn't make sense to me, though, between online and face-to-face to be a good teacher is just the presence of a physical teacher in the classroom. I think that is very powerful for a lot of kids who need that physical aspect of a teacher to be close to them, to give them that one-on-one attention. And when you're online, it's harder to do that because you're not physically there helping the kids. You are through a video, but I think some students benefit more from you actually being there helping them. The constant student engagement. You can be the best teacher in the world, and sometimes I find that there's just those kids that you cannot connect with and can't get them to engage themselves in a class. And I think that's both online and in a classroom, and it's just finding what's going to drive them to want to be better. Also, you don't have control of who's viewing the class when you're doing an online teaching. When you're in a classroom, you know who's coming in and watching you. When you're teaching online, you don't know who's watching you as you teach to all your cyber school students. So that's another thing that I thought was interesting as I was watching through this video. But I do truly think that good teaching is good teaching no matter where you are or how you're teaching, but it's all in the effort you put into it. Question 2, the challenges of teaching online. This really hit home with me since I've started implementing this into my own classroom. Some questions I did have, though, was how are you able to connect with your students on a more personal level through online. I find that when I'm in class with the kids, I'm able to find out their strengths and weaknesses at a quicker rate than I would be if I was just meeting through video chat with them. Once again, that underlying statement of student engagement, how do I make sure that all my students are actively engaged in what they're learning and doing online? Reaching out to those at-risk students. I work at a school where majority of my kids come from at-risk homes. They get free and reduced lunch. They live in poverty. And a lot of those kids are the ones that get pulled out for cyber school. And it's trying to figure out, if they're not doing their work with me sitting next to them in class, who's going to be the one pushing them at home to want to be better? And that's a question I had about that, was how do you reach out to those kind of students? The time and planning aspect of it. I only get up to 45 minutes of planning time on certain days, and that's not even enough to plan for my week's worth of online teaching. So how do we effectively use our time better to make sure that we're able to plan for our online teaching curriculum at a better rate? And the last challenge I had was differentiating without changing the curriculum or activities. I feel like I'm fortunate enough with my curriculum that I'm able to change something to accommodate certain students, whether it's making it more gifted for my higher level students or dropping it down a notch to help with my lower academic students so that they're able to understand the higher level concepts. I want to know how you're able to differentiate when you're stuck to the certain curriculum that your district says you have to teach. Question 4, I also thought the article or the reading of The Heart of a Teacher was super interesting, and I connected really well with it as I was reading it, and that's just because of the atmosphere and the type of kids I work with in a face-to-face kind of classroom setting. Once you have so many kids who are just disengaged in what you're doing and you're sensing that, it starts to rub off on you and you become that teacher who just works to get through the day. You're not going to work with the purpose of, I want to make my kids better. I want them to want to make them better, and that's the whole quote of, you reduce your vulnerability and you disconnect from your kids because you don't feel like you're doing what you need to do as a teacher. I'm online, I feel like you might have the ability to take a breath and almost refocus on what you're doing. If something's frustrating you, you're not showing your emotion and passion like you would in a regular classroom. So if you have a student that's frustrating you, that comes out and the students sense that. And I think online, that's because you have different sources of communication. You can do a video chat or you can just chat with them through texting. And I feel like that's a more powerful aspect as a online teacher, that you get to do that and you kind of get to separate your work from yourself a little bit more versus being in a classroom with kids. With the cyber school commercials versus standards, as I watched the different commercials, there were certain aspects that I pulled out of it. The ones I thought were aligned with the standards were the student-centered learning, the creating learning environments that are personalized, what works and what doesn't, the ability to change based on what's being successful and what isn't, and the parent involvement with their teachers and the kids and what they have to do with how their kids are improving through the cyber school. Some things I thought were misaligned with the standards were that it's tuition free, the social growth, and choosing what they get to learn and how. Obviously, there's a set curriculum for cyber school and online teaching, so I didn't think that involved with the standards. And the social growth, I almost feel like you're missing an aspect of social growth because you're not in a classroom anymore with your peers and learning how to socialize correctly. You do through an online aspect, but I feel like a face-to-face sometimes is a lot more powerful in a sense. But that's what I've learned from the articles and videos that I've watched for this module. I'm really excited to learn more about online teaching and how powerful it can be and how to overcome those challenges that I had to be more successful in my own classroom this year with my blended learning. So looking very excited to meeting you guys and getting to know you and learning from each other.